Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for joining in this Honpa Hongan Hawaii theme online Mother's Day service. My name is Reverend Shingo Furusawa, one of the associate ministers of the Hawaii theme. Let us start this service with the chanting of Vandana and Tissarana. Before my message, I'd like to read a passage written by Shinran Shonin. Please put your hands together in Gassho. I have collected true words to aid others in their practice for attaining birth, in order that the process be made continuous, without end and without interruption, by which those who have been born first guide those who come later, and those who are born later join those who are born before. This is so that the boundless ocean of birth and death be exhausted. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda, Namanda. Today, I'd like to talk about our departed loved ones guide us to Amida Buddha's compassion. At the beginning of this message, I read the passage of Kyogyo Shinsho, or the true teachings, practice, and realization, written by Shinran Shonin, the founder of Shin Buddhism. I'd like to read it again. I have collected true words to aid others in their practice for attaining birth, in order that the process be made continuous, without end and without interruption, by which those who have been born first guide those who come later, and those who are born later join those who were born before. This is so that the boundless ocean of birth and death be exhausted. Attaining birth means to be born in Amida Buddha's Pure Land. Ocean of birth and death is this world where we are born, are living, and will pass away. We are always struggling and suffering in this world as ocean of birth and death. Shinran Shonin wrote the passage that reveals to us how we transcend from the ocean of birth and death and are born in the Pure Land. In the passage, he told us, those who have been born first guide those who come later, and those who are born later join those who are born before. That is, Shinran Shonin reveals to us that our predecessors, including our ancestors, and our parents guide us to the Buddha Dharma, so that we can transcend from the ocean of birth and death. In this world, everything is impermanent. Our lives are also limited. I think that many of you have lost your loved ones. However, as Shinran Shonin says, they always guide us to Amida Buddha's compassion. As an example, I would like to introduce a story written by Reverend Dr. Seigen Yamaoka. Reverend Yamaoka is a minister of the Buddhist Churches of America, or BCA. Also, he was a former bishop of the BCA. In his book entitled The Transmission of Shin Buddhism in the West, Reverend Yamaoka wrote of his experience with a man named Ken. The Reverend wrote as follows. A doctor told Ken that he had cancer. He was devastated by the news. As the cancer progressed despite treatment, he went into severe depression. When he entered the hospital, he constantly yelled at the doctors and nurses he vented his anger at them, which has made his stay in the hospital unpleasant for all concerned. He even vented his anger at his family. "No one cares about me," was a common theme that punctuated his conversation. I was approached by his younger brother to see what I could do to help him. I was asked to talk to him and have him accept the reality of his situation. I visited him at the hospital. I was greeted with a sarcastic, what are you doing here? If you are here to talk about religion, Amida Buddha, Nembutsu, I don't want to hear it. Religion is worthless." Listening to him, I tried to calm him down. His voice was getting louder and louder. I tried to explain that he was in the hospital and that he should have consideration for the other patients. He told me to leave because I did not understand what he was going through. I left with a promise to return. His anger grew worse, and his loved ones, friends, and nurses found it difficult to work with and visit him. My second visit was no better than the first. In fact, it was worse. He began with verbal abuse. "I don't want to see you. Go home. You cannot do anything for me. You are worthless." I tried to calm him down by telling him that I would like to help. This made him even angrier. He screamed, "If you want to help me, tell me what I want to hear. Can you do that?" I sensed that he wanted me to affirm something which was very dear to him. That is, his life. I asked, "You want me to tell you that you will not die? Is that it?" "Yes. Can you do that?" he asked. "I cannot," I replied. "See, you are worthless. You cannot help me. No one can. I'm all alone. No one cares," he yelled. Stand. I fell into silence. But then something came up into my mind. It was something he told me about his mother sometime back. I replied, "There's someone who cares. She's no longer living, but she was always concerned about you. You told me that she always worried about you, but you being a bad son, never listened to what she had to say. She cares for you, even now. It's your mother." Ken became silent for the first time. He was in deep thought. Slowly, he began to speak as if to himself. "Yes, she always worried about me. I was not a good son, but she never stopped worrying about me." He expressed his gratitude to her and deeply felt that even though she was not living, the concern was still there for him. Ken thanked me and asked me to leave so that he could think about his own feelings. I left. From that day on, Ken changed. he began to express his appreciation to the doctors, nurses, friends, and family. People were shocked, but the relationship changed. As time went on, Ken's illness did become progressively worse. Yet, from that experience of recalling his mother, he seemed to go beyond her and began to express his life in terms of Amida's great compassion. He began to utter the Nembutsu of gratitude. With this feeling of oneness with Amida, Ken passed away. What do you think about this story? Before he got cancer, Ken always tried to find the meaning of his life in success, victory, and self-satisfaction that came through his own efforts. However, as he knew that he was approaching death, everything changed. Ken feared his own death and tried to deny it because it meant that everything that he worked for would vanish, and he was afraid of what would happen to him. But it was impossible to deny his death. In ignorance of his impermanence in an ever-changing world, Ken could not get the peaceful mind. In his fear and anger, Ken rushed and attacked everyone around him, and he totally became alone. However, when his mother was mentioned, the warmth of her light broke the hard shell of his own making. Remembering loving warmth of the mother's memory, Ken could find that he was always embraced by her. Ken saw himself as a son who always made her disappointed. However, at the same time, he remembered that she always cared for him, no matter what happened, and felt her warmth. In a sense, he was no longer alone. At first, Ken was never interested in any religion. But his mother was living in Amida Buddha's infinite life and light. And through her, he could find himself in the greater world of the Buddha's wisdom and compassion. In this way, Ken's story tells us that our predecessors or departed loved ones always guide us to the Buddha Dharma. I think that you also have lost loved ones. And like Ken's mother, now they are living in Amida Buddha's infinite life and light. And they are always guiding you to the Buddha's great compassion. Now we are observing this Mother's Day service. I think that many of you lost your mothers. However, now your mother is in Amida Buddha's limitless compassion, and she is always watching over you, loving you, and saying to you, please listen to Amida Buddha's teachings. Thank you very much for listening to this message. In closing, let us recite the Onen Butsu or Namo Amida Butsu to extend our gratitude to Amida Buddha, Shinran Shonin, and our predecessors who shared the Buddha Dharma with us. Please put your hands together in Gassho. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Namandab, 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 Namandab. Namandab, 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 Namandab. Again, thank you very much for joining us in this Mother's Day service. Next Sunday, May 16, Hawaii Bethlehem online Go Time service will be held at 10 a.m. Please join the service too. In closing, let us recite the Onen Butsu. Please put your hands together in Gassho. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Namandab, 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 Namandab.